Hello, I'm
Hello.
Sian Wilson here today with
Angela Calantis.
for your project.
Project Brain Injury Support, Education and Awareness.
And happy 2021, hopefully.
Yes.
Or welcome 2021.
Correct. I hope everybody has an amazing year, whatever you have planned for yourself or the universe has planned for us.
And here in Australia, we're just coming out of the hot summer season, so we thought we'd talk a little bit about what's been happening for you with the variable weather and...
Okay. Whoa. This is going to be a little bit of a heavy one. Okay. In a nutshell, okay, I have not been the best leading into Christmas, and in particular after Christmas onwards. Initially, we put it down to a really bad ear infection and grey, miserable weather.
So tell us what happens with the grey,
miserable weather for me. When the barometric pressure in the atmosphere drops, I end up with I can't. It sounds really weird when I explain it. I end up with this pain that basically comes in the back of my head where I got hit. And the best way that I can explain it is like there's a balloon inside of my head, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and as it gets bigger and bigger, it gets tighter and tighter, and it just I want to pop that balloon to relieve the pressure. It normally lasts a couple of days, depending how long the really deep, dense grey, rainy days last.
And how do you manage it when it comes? I mean,
sleeping tablets.
Rest.
Yeah. I literally take lots of Panadol, lots of Nurofen, and I try just to sleep through it, because it depends. Like sometimes it's like this niggling pain in the back of the head, and other times it's literally rocking yourself in a corner crying, and because you just can't bear the pain anymore. And it's something that I know doesn't happen to just me. There's lots of comments in our support group and various support groups about how the drop in barometric pressure affects different people.
So for you, you mentioned it's specifically where the camper trailer hit your head. How big was the area where it hit? It was right across. Let me just show it.
Literally, can you see the back of my head?
Yeah.
Along there.
Okay. Show us again slowly.
So from the middle, so like basically where the head sits on your neck, and across diagonally up to the ear.
Okay. And that's where you feel the...
Yeah, that's okay.
The barometric, that's where you feel
that's
the
where
pain,
I feel that pressure.
And it's the pressure, and it stays in that area? It doesn't...
Yeah, it stays in that area.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, because I've got the pain there and I'm concentrating on trying to, I suppose, still try to function. One of the things that I notice is other symptoms. I'm not going to say they get worse, but I notice them more, because you're so normally day to day, I really concentrate on, walking straight so I don't fall over, and just functioning, and making sure that I'm speaking properly when I'm around other people. And so I really concentrate on making my symptoms not so obvious.
Yeah.
Yet, so when the really bad pain days hit, something's got to give.
Yeah.
So I find that my other symptoms they're not worse. I suppose they're just more noticeable to me, as well as other people, because I've got to concentrate on other things instead of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the last towards Christmas. We had a few grey, rainy days, and yeah, it was really bad. So where was I going?
Usually it stays for a couple of days, you were saying.
Mhm.
And usually does it ease once the weather eases and once you've rested?
Yes.
Yeah. But in this case,
In this case, it wasn't happening. A friend of mine pointed out to me, she said, Ange, maybe you really need to get up to emergency because you've been in bed a lot longer than normal. And like, it sounds horrible, but I need someone to point that out to me because a lot of times it just doesn't, like passage of time, just, I don't recognize it.
Yeah.
So, yes. So anyway, yeah, I've been living with that. So I think I got back home maybe about the 27th or 28th of December. And I literally was in bed, in pain from then onwards until I started my journey to the emergency department last week.
And last week would have been the beginning of January, yes.
Yeah, I think.
Because we're now the 13th today.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, Monday was the first time I went in, so what date was that? The 12 minus 7... Fifth?
Yeah.
So, yep, so I went in on the 5th. That was interesting. I actually, every time I have to go to emergency, I go through the same pattern. You get asked the question, so what medication are you on? And you say, I really don't take, I don't take painkillers, it's just Nurofen and Panadol. Are you sure? It's like, yeah, I'm positive. So you get the whole, are you a drug addict? Are you a hypochondriac?
Especially as I'm imagining, as you're presenting disoriented, in pain,
Yep.
not being able to speak,
Yep.
maybe having difficulty walking in a straight
Yep.
line. Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
And then you discuss, then you go, I have a brain injury, and then they try not to raise their eyebrows. But you do kind of get that, yeah, right, look. And then the belief kicks in, I say.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But I think that is more the lack of training and awareness more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because I have to say that the next 2 times that I went, I didn't get all. I suppose the second time I went, I got a little bit.
So you went in 3 times, over a 14
The
day.
Monday, the Wednesday, and Saturday
Okay.
or Friday. I can't remember. One of those 2. Friday, maybe Saturday. I don't know. One of those 2. So yeah, by the time I went back in on, we'll say Saturday, by the time I went back in on the Saturday, there was the true belief.
Yeah.
That there was, yeah. So, and I think this week, my experience this week, the reason why I want to share it is twofold. A, to put a lot of people's mind at ease that yes, I'm still walking, and B, to show you exactly, or to tell you, explain to you, or share with you exactly the process as it happens, so that maybe you can understand some of the frustration when it comes to those living with brain injury. So, okay, so I went in on the Monday, and I explained about how the weather affects, and we thought it was weather, and I had an ear infection that lasted a long time, and we thought it might be the ear infection. All of that stuff happened. I had a CT scan, saw the last doctor to see me, told me that the CT scan did not show anything abnormal at all. It was all normal, it was all okay. Obviously you have an ear infection. And he prescribed me a form of antibiotic drops to put into my ear. And these were on top of another drop that I was already using. And I said to the doctor in the ER, I said, okay, you're telling me that it's an ear infection. What happens now? What if it's not an ear infection? What if this pain comes back? Well, then you come back to emergency. Okay. So off I went home with my prescriptions. And I got a phone call to go to the ENT clinic to see an ENT specialist. And that was on the Wednesday. So I did that, went into the ENT clinic and saw the ENT specialist. And the ENT specialist, he was actually really good. When I spoke with him, he wanted to know what happened, so that, why I lost the hearing in my right ear. And I explained to him the accident and said, as a result of that, I lost the hearing in my right ear. I now have a brain injury. And he said, "Oh, explain it to me. Where were you actually hit?" So I showed him the back of the head and then explained that the front of my face, from like the cheekbones across, hit the rim of the bottom end of the trailer. And he looked at me and he said to me, "Have you always had the dropping on the right side of your face, or is that just since your accident?" And I just looked at him, and it actually took me a minute because nobody in 8 years has ever noticed that without me pointing it out.
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, okay, I notice it because I look in the mirror and you look for anything that's gone wrong kind of thing. But he's the first person that's actually noticed it without me saying. And in particular, I was really tired, so I was at my worst. So things were bad. Anyway, so he noticed that, which was great. He really took on board the things that I was saying. He asked to read my reports that I carry with me from when my accident first happened, because I find that's the only way to make people believe what actually happened to me. So he went through that, and he basically told me that I don't have an ear infection. He did all of his things and looked in there with all of his little probes and things. He says, "You don't have an ear infection. Your ears are totally clear, but your CT scan does show swelling on the brain."
And this is a new development.
This is, no one has actually said to me, this is a new development. But, the person that did the CT scan on the Monday, in his report said there was nothing there. The specialists or the doctors at the emergency department said, no, there was nothing there. It was an ear infection. The ENT tells me it's not an ear infection. There is definitely some swelling there. And I looked at him and said, "Well, what do I do now?" And he said, "Well, you'll need to go and see your GP and you need a referral to a neurologist." I said, "Okay, and what do I do about my pain? If it gets worse, you just come back." So came back home, went back to
And
bed.
he's given you some anti-inflammatories as well.
He didn't give me the anti-inflammatories.
Oh,
No, he couldn't give them to me. All he could do was tell me that I would need to look at keep going on my Panadol, maybe the Panadol and the Nurofen, and maybe increase the Nurofen. But when I see my GP, to get the referral to the neurologist to see if she can give me some strong anti-inflammatories. So I didn't get to the GP. And then I went home, and then on the Friday or Saturday, I think it was Saturday, it got really bad again. So went back up to the hospital. My poor daughter, she's been playing taxi for me all week. Went back up to the hospital, and this was really interesting, this visit, I have to tell you, because this had been the third time that I was there. There were familiar faces. So it was like, okay, there's something serious here. So that was great. the musculoskeletal specialist came in to see me, which was great, and he was talking about maybe it might be referred nerve pain, because all the nerves kind of start and run along the scalp and like underneath the skin and run down along your neck and over the face and all that stuff. So he thought, okay, maybe it's nerve pain.
Yep.
So his suggestion was to put some anesthetic underneath the skin, and that would numb the nerves, and then we would know that it was nerve pain causing the pain, nothing, and not anything else happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, yep, okay, fine, give it a go. I'll give anything a go. Now, I need to also note that I'm not the person that you get asked the question, what's your level of pain? Well, I was in about an 8 or a 9 when I was there, particularly on Saturday. But I'm not the one to sit. If I'm lying on the bed crying and rocking, it's bad.
Yeah.
I've learnt to live with it. So anyway, so he says to me, we're going to do this injection now. It's going to hurt a lot, but if we can just push through it, it'll be okay. And it was hilarious because another doctor and a nurse came in and were prepared to hold me down to have this anesthetic injected into my head. And I was like, yeah, mate, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Because I'm so used to it. Anyway, so he's doing the injection and I'm sitting there kind of doing my little personal meditation of counting elephants. I find that it's a hard word for me to say. So if I count them when I'm undergoing something, it's my little meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there and he's got the injections in there and he's doing them, and it finished, and he looked at me and he goes, well, you handled that quite well.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, yeah. I did. So anyway, so we tried the injections under the skin. Really weird. My whole head was numb. It was really weird. Like I was poking myself with my fingernail and there was nothing. So anyway, we did that, and even though the scalp went numb, the pain was still there. So obviously he said, well, obviously that's not, it's not nerve pain. So off he went. He said, I'm going to go and have a look at your CT scans again. So off he went, and he come back and he goes, well, obviously, yes. Yes, there is swelling there. So the next step then was to throw me on some pretty powerful anti-inflammatories to try to keep the swelling down until I can get to see a neurologist. And then that's the other funny part, what I find funny. I'm allergic to a medication called Phenergan. And the anti-inflammatory they gave me was a sister to Phenergan. So they threw me into short stay and pumped me full of this new medication. And if I was going to have an allergic reaction, I was in the best place to have an allergic reaction. So I didn't have an allergic reaction that night, which is great. They prescribed me these anti-inflammatories. I've been taking them since I came home, and basically I need to watch in case there are signs of an allergic reaction, because I am on a fairly high dose, to the point where the pharmacy rang the hospital and spoke with the doctor to...
It's good to know that there's that check in place.
Yeah, and then that's because I go to the same pharmacy.
Yeah.
They are in control of all of my medication, and whether it's, an infected ear or anything that I need, I go to the same pharmacy and I talk to the two same chemists. Yeah. So I go to my local little, privately owned pharmacy, and they know everything. So she rang, she spoke with the doctor, verified that it was a strong dose, it was a very high dose. And then she reiterated the whole, make sure you look out for allergic symptoms. If your symptoms from your brain injury seem worse, well, that might be a reaction as well, so you need to go back in, all of those things. So in a nutshell, I am now on some pretty potent anti-inflammatories to control the swelling, and then I am off to see the GP and get a referral off to a neurologist to see what can be done.
How are you feeling today?
I'm tired now. We took the dogs up the road to the beach this morning and played for, I don't know how long, half an hour maybe. But I'm tired. I mean, you know, but I have found that I'm recognising my symptoms are worse than normal, or more predominant than normal, but I'm just going to push through because I'm not going to.
Well, it
sitting
started
on the couch.
well 27th of December.
Yep.
So that's a fair amount of time.
Yeah. Yep. But
Missing.
A lot of
You
people.
were so excited to go out today to the water.
Yes.
It's hard to be stuck inside.
Correct.
Not being able to drive, not being
Yes. Oh my God, I can't drive long
able to being
distances.
independent. Is
I'm
important
struggling.
too,
Yeah, I think I got as far as Capalaba yesterday, which is a 15-minute drive away, and I struggled with that. And I'm missing the beach. Oh my God, I am missing the beach. So I'm hoping that as time gets on, it's going to be easier.
Yeah.
Either that or just go back to the beginning. It used to take me 2.5 hours to drive to the Gold Coast from here.
Yeah. We're about an hour. Well, yeah, an hour. From
An
the Gold
hour
Coast,
away,
Hour
yeah.
and 10 maybe. Yeah.
But it used to take me nearly 2.5 hours because I would have to stop and rest.
Yeah.
So I think I've stopped at every service station between here and the Gold Coast in my day. It made me, and I've just got to go back to that for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
hey, you know, a lot of people out there worse off than I am.
yes. Kind of you to say. Okay.
So-
So that was quite a long video. 20 minutes.
I'm sorry,
But,
guys.
it's good to hear the whole story of.
Yep. You know
The
how bad
process.
it is? I haven't had my regrowth done. Because I can't have anyone touch
actually,
my
I've
head.
noticed your nails, and I think it's wonderful how you do take the time with the little things.
My nails are my thing for me.
Yeah.
As you can see, the hair can be feral, but the nails have got to be on point.
The nails have got to be good.
Nails have got
So
to be good.
on that note, we might say goodbye. I'm not showing you my nails, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And if you want to learn more, like this video,
Yeah.
share it,
Like, comment, share,
do all the things.
all those things.
We're on
Yes.
you're on Facebook, Angela Clancis, Instagram. Our project, raising awareness, support, education. We're, keeping it moving.
Keeping it moving.
Bit of a pause over Christmas, but
Yep. Still
Onwards.
working on it.
Yeah.
Still working on it.
bringing support, awareness to brain injury survivors, their families, allied health professionals, and when we can, into rural
Yes.
Australia.
Yes.
With all COVID, we'll have to wait and see.
Haven't forgotten that. That's still, that's still
More,
the goal.
more online this year.
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent.
Lots of love. Mwah.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.